Making a video. Appears to be happening. Alright, response to anti-bullshitman. Section... I don't remember. I'll look it up. I must have it here. Relatively convenient. N. Non-rational does not equal irrational. Which isn't really suitable to the section, so link below to the blog post anyway. And I have made a few videos where I didn't title the video anti-bullshitman, section numbers and all that stuff, because I was responding to other videos that were on the same point mostly. So anyway, I'll read the first paragraph just for the hell of it, and you get some sort of idea of what's sort of irritating about this. I've never seen Inmendham differentiate the two. He's been riding the renowned rational-irrational duality pony from the inception of his YouTube run. Okay, I mean, this whole riding a pony bullshit, yes, Yankee Doodle, you know. I mean, it just, what's the point of it? You know, there's no point in this personal crap that's just in every layer. Inmendham will likely read the above paragraph and still contend that this statement, life is a dumb soap opera, transcends non-rational boundaries and merits, and the title of Rational, so let's extensively examine life is a dumb soap opera sayings. Soaps are known to be melodramatic. The popularity of such soaps suggests melodramatic fiction entrances the public at large. 6 years of video evidence indicates that Inmendham is highly melodramatic as well. So this kind of now I'm a soap opera, right? A soap opera trying to, you know, do pretty hard philosophy. But whatever. So again, fuck that. Just fuck that shit. Which Inmendham despises. Inmendham does it's just layered with all this crap. And so his point in all this crap, he is arguing that there is not necessarily, well, first, he doesn't believe this idea that there's some truth that we can access well enough, you know, beyond a reasonable doubt kind of conviction, and then apply this truth rationally to all cases. You know, this mathematics or this ethical schema or whatever it might be. And yeah, I disregard that as being a reasonable argument and say, no, there's one reality. You either accurately describe it or you don't accurately describe it. Obviously, we can all get it wrong, but there is one right, in my opinion. One right way to say it, one best way to say it, one perfect way to do it, that kind of thing. And those things do exist in the accessible realm of possibility, so to speak. It's manufacturable. The parts exist in reality, where it can be known for what it is. The forces are understandable, and the rest of it's just volume again. So anyway, and so the substance of the argument is basically revolves around the idea of the optimism bias or the subjectivist bias, and the idea of individuals getting to declare the state of their being, and how we have some obligation to not state that something, someone's testimony regarding their own condition is rationally sensible, logically coherent, has some connection to what we know to be the phenomenon of human psychology, in terms of we know certain classes of behavior, certain classes of psychological events. So we have events of hunger, desire, attraction, yearning. Yearning's a good word, isn't it? That's a good one. And the hankering. We have a hankering for something. We hanker. you know, we can ache for it. And that this mechanism is what makes a drama, a soap opera, or something else of value to us. It's because we have a kind of an addiction to it. We are vicariously, in some cases, obtaining our life narrative completion. We're telling a better story for ourselves. We have, it may perhaps even, I hate this word, integrated, I can never say it. Integration. It's not that hard a word. But anyway, we have blended ourselves into this fantasy story in some way or other, in some vicarious way. I mean, either we're imagining being someone else, or imagining ourselves being in playing the role of the narrator or the character or whatever the thing is, and anyway, feeding off of it, feeding our desire. And so we may, when we're full of a lot of desire, when we're highly motivated, when we feel like we're right on the edge of it, we're going to accomplish something any second now, it would be very easy to minimize some sort of negative one might perceive to be the price for it, or the obstacle. It gets easier to climb the last burdens, let's say, if you can see the plateau, the peak that you're after, the promised land, so to speak. So you could be starving, thirsty, going across the desert, and if you really see the oasis, you know it's not a mirage this time, so you threw a rock and you heard the splash, or something like that. Makes that crawl, that last brutal, horrible mile, so much more doable, and the pain so much more push-throughable, because you have this real sense that you're going to get there. And you're undefeated. Well, how else to put it? So anyway, I'm just trying to get to the point that sometimes when it's close, when you can really taste it almost, it makes burdens even lighter. And burdens are the heaviest when you're furthest away from desire, hunger, and any prospect of its satisfaction. So, for example, you could be a mountain climber and really enjoy the fighting nature, battling gravity, battling the mountain, applying your strategy and your physical strength and your physical agility to the prospect of this feat. And that challenge gratifies your ego. And let's say you lose your leg and you can't do it anymore. You can only do it weakly or in some half-ass way. Yeah, you could learn to be a one-legged climber, but it just isn't good enough. You could slide into a depression, and you could find most of life so mundane and horrid. Now, even though your life isn't bad, it's no worse than it was when you were a mountain climber. It's just that you're not mountain climbing. You don't see yourself doing the thing you wanted to do. And even if you were able to do it, and you failed even, somehow that seems a better fate than not doing it at all. Because there's no rationality involved in any of these projections of what's happening to you. You're being compelled by forces of subjective attraction, by hunger, by desire. And that desire is a powerful influence, would be the argument, on testimony regarding merit or accomplishment in life. And those are just the psychological ones that are obvious. We have all these other, like, almost philosophical or propaganda arguments that could be made where people whose lives are suck, but they'll never admit it. They'll play stoic, they'll play heroic, they'll play the part of the role playing, and they don't want to be seen as not a player. So they will ignore what they know to be the truth, which is they wouldn't wish their life on a dog. Why people would wish bad things on dogs, I don't really get that part. But you wouldn't wish it on a Tyrannosaurus or whatever. Pick something not so nice. You wouldn't wish it on Adolf fucking Hitler. Yet they'll validate it because they don't want to look like a pussy, or they don't want to be doing the surrender thing or saying, yeah, life has beat me, and so it's just an ego statement. And so you're saying we can't call ego statements irrational? Come on, of course we can. Proving it, difficult. I'm just saying that we can make the argument that it's well within the realm of reasonable that many of these statements of accomplishment or I'm winning are irrational statements from the person's perspective. They would acknowledge the irrationality if they could see their own addiction, if they could recognize their own sickness, in a sense. And so I often use the example, and you'll probably make fun of it somewhere in here, of sports and the fact that at one time in my life I gave a damn, and then all of a sudden I didn't give a damn. And those were two different points of view, and I could see that it was all psychological. There was nothing meritorious in sports. There was nothing meritorious in any of it. It was all just absolute crap. And it was only because I had a conditioned addiction that I found any of it interesting or gave a shit about any of it. It's because I wasn't seeing it for what it was, which was a farce and a silly way to give a damn about individuals. I wasn't giving a damn because they were people. I was giving a damn because they were, on my favorite team, or they were, it was just a complete lie of a story. And, I realized that these people had no merit, really. And it was all just some sort of they were the underdog, or they did the right thing at the right moment kind of thing, but just little tiny stuff. They weren't curing cancer. They weren't doing anything of any merit. It was just all wasted energy, wasted combat, wasted conflict, wasted competition to create some kind of silly champion of the stupid activity, the best at being a stupid waster of time. Nothing, no merit. It was irrational. There was nothing logical or sensible or thoughtful in any of it. It was all just emotionally driven through conditioned attachment to whatever, whether you like ballet or whether you like amateur theater, or whether you like music or art, graphic art, or porn, amateur porn, I don't know, whatever the thing is, right? There's all these different ways of obtaining some sort of aesthetic gratification, what's defined as pleasing to your sensibilities. And why is it pleasing? It's because there's a story, a narrative behind it. And that narrative usually has these emotional elements. It has a formula. And the formula, the fact that you've been mixed into it, is what has created your stoic attitude, your capacity to be sensually affected by outcomes that are rationally garbage, meaningless, stupid, irrelevant to anything that matters. So, yeah, I'm gonna, like I said, I can't defend, I can't say I have the proof necessary to deny all humans the ability to make some sort of statement regarding the win of their life, in terms of how they've never been sick and they've never had horror and they've never known any of this bad stuff, and they've, you know, managed to live in their hunger and never feel that anything was outside of their attainment, never feel the frustration of you know, an extensive investment in suffering for a distant, futile, maybe completely unattainable prize. So yeah, that some people have lived some sort of free lunch life. Yeah, I can't prove that that doesn't exist, but I'm going to argue that most of the people claiming it, most of the people waving the I'm winning hand, aren't winning. And they're not winning, and it can be demonstrated that there are huge irrational value statements in their psychology / philosophy that can be demonstrated to be just that, manipulations of their psychology. Addictions no better than heroin, and motivators no better than that, and definitions of accomplishment no better than that. I'm winning because I, don't have 2 broken legs. I'm winning because I'm not homeless in a cardboard box. Somehow that's now the definition, the standard they're comparing it to. And yet they've lowered the standard so low, psychologically. And that's the only reason why they're making a statement, is because they have such a low standard. So that's another way of playing the game, is to just keep lowering the standard, the definition of failure. And that's in my opinion, it's not an arbitrary standard in reality. That I'm going to argue that I can do this value math, and I could demonstrate lives that were more productive than other lives, just on just a cursory view of what the life meant or did, and you could just point out obvious value deficits in, it's like the how many medical resources you consume. And then what could have been done with the money wasted on you if it was spent on starving Africans or something, and how much productive value would have been produced by those people versus you, or some kind of these equations are out there to be done. Obviously, they're incredibly complex. They can get incredibly complex, even knowing outcomes like in wartime. Whether it was good or bad, whether a certain side won or lost in the long run, is always hard to know for certain. But I'm going to argue that rationality just requires us to do honest logic and apply our knowledge of at least the parameters of probability. We know the probabilities. We know that it's unlikely that certain events are going to be of any productive value. Throwing rocks up in the air, shooting bullets straight up in the air, is likely not to be of any productive service. You're not likely that one of those bullets will come down and hit a bad person. It's more likely to come down and hit somebody who might have been worth something, might be better than you. So it's not an activity of any merit, logically, rationally. So if somebody's arguing that they have some need to do it, and that it's some sort of valuable activity, I think it can be pointed out that it's not. And that's what I'm going to argue about most people who think they're living productive lives. I think I can demonstrate that their life is not productive, that they are, in fact, causers of suffering in net, and perpetuators of circumstances that will create more suffering than will be prevented. Their existence will cause more than it will prevent. Yeah. So anyway, again, I'm just going to argue that I don't claim to be able to prove every life a piece of shit, but I do claim proof is accessible. It's in the realm of obtainable. There's no physical, there's no force, natural or otherwise, that negates the capacity to provide that rational proof, convincing beyond challenge, beyond reasonable challenge. There's no like recontextualization of the facts you could provide to demonstrate it. It's just that it's going to be a very complex proof, and for every individual, and yeah, it doesn't have any real, I don't think there's real philosophical value in attempting it, but I think it's doable, and that's all that really matters in this conversation. And I'm saying as a probabilistic statement, most people claiming they are winning, I think, can be demonstrated to be, in fact, losing. Yeah, in terms of their impact on sentient life in the universe. Alright, so till the next time. I mean, losing in a personal way, like in their own conscious experience, is like, no, their 5-year battle with cancer wasn't worth the picture with their grandkids, or whatever the stupid thing is they did. They went to Disneyland or some kind of crap, and that I think I can demonstrate that that's all just a psychological mechanism. They've undone the horror. They've put it in behind them, so to speak, and they're pretending that there's something they're going to do or accomplish that's going to be worth it, and it's just pretending. And I also think the second argument can be made about their own effect on the world at large is also shit, and they're ignoring that also. So that's another reason why they feel okay about their life. It's because they're not recognizing the real price of their life and the real cost of their interaction with other people who they've probably fucked over in one way or another, whether intentionally or unintentionally, just through being the human leech that we all tend to be. Anyway, enough of a video. Till next time, till we get to O or P or some other silly horrible letter. Non-impositions. Oh, this ought to be funny. We're not on a rescue mission. You're not going to do anything with that analogy. So good luck with that one, buddy. That one ought to be fun. That ought to be an easy slam dunk. So until next time.